Hair transplantation, a cosmetic procedure aimed at restoring lost hair, employs various techniques to ensure the best results for individuals. Among the most prevalent methods are the follicular unit extraction, or FUE, and the follicular unit transplantation, or FUT. In the FUE technique, individual hair follicles are delicately extracted from the donor area, which usually includes the back and sides of the scalp. Now, this method is usually preferred by many due to its less invasive nature. It typically involves minimal scarring, and also a relatively swift recovery time. On the other hand, the FUT approach involves removing a strip of flesh of the scalp from the donor region, and from this particular strip of flesh, hair follicles are subsequently extracted. And there are some advantages for FUT because sometimes it can yield more grafts in a single session, and grafts are the number of actual follicles that we're going to be getting out of the particular donor region. It also leaves a noticeable linear scar on the back of the head. However, hair type plays a significant role in the transplantation process. Specifically in this video, I'm going to be talking about more curlier hair types. Curly hair, characterized by its unique spiral structure, possesses challenges to surgeons. Its intricate structure makes it susceptible to transection. In hair transplants, transection is a scenario where the hair follicle gets damaged during the extraction process. Now, this could potentially harm the hair follicle and compromise graft survival and growth. For those with curlier hair, the emphasis should be on finding surgeons who specialize in handling this type of hair. Knowledgeable surgeons use specialized techniques and tools to decrease the risk of transection, enhancing the transplant's success for curlier hair types. And in a moment, we're going to be touching on what is a curly hair type, because there's a range of different types of curls, right? You have the wavy hair type, all the way down to the 4C Afro hair type. And I think we can start off by looking at this really good paper by a particular hair transplant surgeon by the name of Dr. Alba Reyes. In Dr. Alba Reyes' paper titled, quote, Curly Hair FUE, an approach using classification of follicle curvature and curl, unquote, Dr. Reyes highlights the complexities and specificities of undertaking follicular unit extraction, or FUE, on more curlier haired individuals. Reyes pinpoints the necessity to comprehend the curved hair structures, and she includes a systematic classification on several prominent curly hair types. Central to the methodology is the hybrid punch, a specific instrument that's used to actually get the hair follicle. This instrument becomes, well, instrumental, especially when dealing with diverse ethnic skin traits and hair types. Furthermore, the paper sheds light on the fact that the term Afro-textured hair might not encapsulate the entire gamut of curly hair types. Because I hear that a lot on YouTube too, as a side note. People say this is Afro hair or this is curly hair, when really that term doesn't really mean anything. You can have someone who's a white dude, right? I saw this one picture of I think he's Scottish or something, and he has like a fro, right? A very fuzzy and kinky fro. And this is a white guy with no African or any sort of immediate African ancestry, right? So I would definitely agree with Dr. Reyes here in terms of using the term Afro-textured hair or just curly hair doesn't really give any more detail on the type of hair we're dealing with. So Reyes has a whole classification of different hair types, and I'll show it here on the screen. As you can see here, we have type 1, type 2, type 3, type 4, and type 5. Now, commonly hear this also referred to as like 2A, 2B, 2C, 3A, 3B, 3C, 4A, 4B, 4C. And there are of course different scales, but mainly the classifications focus on going from more wavy hair that's kind of loose and an S kind of shape pattern, all the way down to a very tight zigzag C or Z defined curl pattern. So that's the specific range. And I'll put a picture over here to try to help people conceptualize the diversity of hair types. It's not necessarily a diversity of racial types like black, white, Asian, Indian, but it's more so, what I would argue, even a more complex variety of different hair classifications, because you can have someone who's perceived to be as, fully Afro descendant or much more, or having a more dominant sort of African ancestry, but for some reason they have a very wavy hair kind of pattern, not the typical Afro pattern that you may see. And like I said before, there was that one, I think a guy on Reddit, white dude, who has this like ginger afro, and he doesn't have any immediate African ancestry or sub-Saharan African ancestry, but you can see how, coarse his hair already is, right? It's more so the diversity of hair types that exist, and this is why you can't just go to a random hair surgeon who realistically, let's say they only specialize with more straight Caucasian type hair or just straight hair in general, right? They're going to have a tough time not fucking up your hair follicles if you have a more curlier hair pattern. So it's in my opinion, right, that you kind of want to go with someone, this is me saying this, but you want to go with a doctor who is very experienced with dealing with very kinky hair patterns. And I say that because if they can do something that's so challenging, like dealing with 4C Afro hair and trying to get the right angle of extracting the hair follicle without damaging it, a surgeon with such delicate hands won't fuck up your straight hair, follicles. It won't fuck up those hairs, right? Sorry for the language, but when we're talking about these kinds of procedures, you don't want to get your hair messed up. So that's why you have to do your due diligence. And Dr. Reyes puts this as a, very central point. The crucial takeaway is understanding the curved hair structure and making constant test adjustments to the punch zone, and also just doing thorough physical assessments of the area. It's paramount before surgery even starts, right? We can also look at Dr. Sanusi Umar, another hair transplant surgeon, in their paper titled, quote, "A Comparative Study of a Novel Tool for Follicular Unit Extraction for Individuals with Afro-Textured Hair," unquote. And it's here in this particular paper where Dr. Umar delves into the complexities of the hair transplantation for patients with so-called Afro-textured hair, right? Now, again, for people who aren't, Afro-descendant or anything like that, the purpose of this video, I want to reiterate this again, is to understand that you could be a person with curly hair, right? And this applies to you as well. It's about the structure of the hair and how it grows out of the scalp. But anyway, going back to Dr. Umar, or Sanusi Umar's paper, Sanusi talks about how the traditional follicular unit extraction methods, which use rotary punches, often produce high transection rates when applied to tightly curled hair or Afro-textured hair. And this really messes up a lot of patients, and it makes them unsuitable candidates for FUE, so they have to resort to using FUT, a much more invasive sort of procedure. And Dr. Umar's research was driven by the need to develop a more effective extraction tool for his demographic. So this led to him designing a new tool called the non-rotary curved punch, or labeled U-punched curl. And this is specifically designed to accommodate for more curlier hair paths by having a sort of arc-like trajectory. And this led to reduced transection rates. Definitely, though, there needs to be more improvement in this particular area when it comes to just having better hair transplantation methods overall. But if you're going with a surgeon who just isn't experienced with using FUE on more curlier hair types, then it seems like the best bet would probably be FUT method, because this would reduce the instances of transection. But like I said before, it's more invasive. It leaves a linear scar compared to FUE, but FUT is typically quicker in terms of a procedural process, and it yields high quality grafts. It's also typically cheaper than the FUE method. So there's that. But scarring is definitely always going to be a concern. Even with FUE, you're not going to get rid of scarring. It's just that with FUE, you have little small prinkly dots, and with FUT, you have that long linear scar. But a skilled hair transplant surgeon can reduce the FUT scar, but realistically, it isn't always going to be completely perfect. Interestingly, while curly hair can be a challenge in terms of transplantation, it offers distinct advantages in terms of scalp coverage. And that's because the tighter curl pattern can give the illusion of greater volume and density, because the curl, right, in terms of its curly nature, is going to cover more surface area in any given point. So it could be the case that people with more curlier hair types, the wavy hair, the sort of afro-like hair, may need less hair grafts or transplantation zones than somebody with straight hair. But I also will say that it's kind of a bit of an issue because people who usually have, right, the curlier hair, the more densely packed curlier hair, so to speak, they often find out that they're balding and thinning in more aggressive stages, I would say, or more latter stages than they would have if they had straighter hair, because again, the curly hair gives the illusion of hair being dense, right? So, and I've heard many stories of this anecdotally, even myself as well, because I have Afro-textured hair, where it's like, hey, everything looks fine in this picture, then all of a sudden things went to hell. Well, in reality, things were going to hell for quite a while, but you didn't get to see that because of the nature of your hair, right? Your hair is in this curly, kinky-like pattern, and it tends to fill up more space. And to you, it's giving the illusion of density. But I've also heard people say that, well, it doesn't look like I'm balding, but my hair feels different. It feels less dense. Well, that's because you've lost a shit ton of hair follicles, and it's even a miracle that your hair still looks the same, right? But believe your feeling, believe your touch, believe what you know your hair to feel like. If it feels softer, if it feels thinner in a particular area, less dense, then that probably is the case, especially if you have more kinkier, curlier hair. Curlier hair with its enhanced ability to cover the scalp provides an aesthetic advantage, but also poses unique challenges during transplantation. It's paramount for curlier haired individuals to consult surgeons adept at handling their hair type in order to minimize risks and achieve the most favorable results. But yeah, that's pretty much it for this video. But if you got this far into this video, comment in the comment section below, blueberry juice. Yeah, blueberry juice, like the blueberry fruit, but in a juice-like form, right? Blueberry juice. I just like putting these comments at the end of the video because I want to see if people actually get to the end of the video. So yeah. But anyway, I want to give a special shout out to everyone. I recently just hit 1K on this channel. It's cool that I'm reaching out to people and people are telling me that they're, getting benefit from watching my videos, and I've actually helped some people regrow hair. So I'm happy to hear that. I'm happy to hear the news. And you guys can contact me with any questions in the description, my all links, where you can find all the different ways to contact me and shit like that. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching this video and for watching this channel and being a supporter. And if you want some sort of one-on-one consultation, surely enough, it's in that link in the description, or it's in the description, that link, whatever. So I just want to say thank you guys so much, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace out.